Typing all day on a keyboard can be uncomfortable for some. Straight boards might force a wrist bend that can be painful after hours of typing. That's why you might see weirdly designed keyboards. These keyboards aim for better ergonomics to create a more comfortable typing experience. The MX Keys is a sleek full-size keyboard that doesn't take up too much space, measuring 17.0 by 5.1 inches. The device looks gorgeous, with a sturdy plastic chassis that uses 2 shades of gray against white keys. It looks restrained and elegant, particularly with its rounded edges and small Logi logo on top. One unusual feature of the keyboard is its tilt. Whereas most keyboards have optional feet that you can flip up, the MX Keys is always tilted down at a slight angle. Admittedly, this is helpful for touch typists, like myself, and I don't know too many people who use standalone keyboards in flat configurations. Beyond that, the MX Keys has all the standard keys, labeled for both Windows and Mac systems, as well as a few extra keys for launching the calculator, plus switching among 3 different systems. This is helpful, as you can hook up the MX Keys to a desktop, laptop and mobile phone simultaneously, and then move from one system to the next with the press of a button. Pairing with new systems is simple and painless. With a name like MX Keys, you'd expect the keys on this particular peripheral to be special. And, indeed, as membrane keys go, they're pretty decent. Each key is a small, rounded square with a circular indentation in the middle. They operate with a quiet, springy, scissor-style switch, which makes this keyboard more comfortable and responsive than your run-of-the-mill membrane model. It's not a night and day difference, but if you're used to standard Dell and Microsoft keyboards, the MX Keys will feel like a big upgrade. There are abundant similarities between the K70 MK.2 and its older sibling, the K70 Lux RGB. Both feature a durable aluminum chassis, and radiant, per-key RGB lighting. The 2 generations come packaged with a detachable rubberized wrist rest and a set of gray textured keycaps for FPS or MOBA players. They also share the same dimensions, measuring 1.5 by 17 by 7 inches, and weigh the same at 2.75 pounds. Both of these models even have an identical price tag, with the only discernible differences coming from the K70 MK.2's new dedicated media playback buttons and some minor aesthetic changes. The K70 MK.2 maintains the rock-solid keycap design of Corsair's other mechanical keyboards, with the media control keys retaining their position just above the numerical keypad. However, the MK.2s are considerably more elevated, making them easier to reach if your right hand rests on the numpad. The Corsair branding is more pronounced on this model, with a prominent translucent faceplate placed front and center rather than the minimalist logo relegated to the upper right periphery on the K70 Lux. Another new addition to the MK.2's design is an X-shaped channel that runs underneath the body of the keyboard, allowing you to route cables underneath without cluttering up your desk. The layout of the K70 MK.2 is an unobtrusive, standard 104-key design. Unlike the more affordable Razer Synosa Chroma, the keys on the K70 MK.2 are raised, leaving a generous margin between the keycap and the frame itself. This has the dual benefit of allowing for a more prominent display of the RGB lighting and allowing you to easily remove any debris that might collect underneath the keycaps. The entire frame is tethered to your desktop via a generous length of braided cable, terminating with 2 USB-A inputs for the keyboard and providing power to the K70 MK.2's USB pass-through. In its overall shape and structure, the Prime 13 closely resembles the 4 Professional. It has a rock-solid anodized aluminum top panel and essentially all the standard keys, with no extras, and is shaped like a traditional keyboard except for the deeper, angled upper right corner that houses the integrated USB hub. The font for the key labels is somewhat bigger and bolder, closer to what's used on the X40 Pro than the thin-lined, austere one you'll see on the business-minded Professional. As you might expect for a keyboard that straddles these worlds, the Prime 13 uses Cherry MX Brown key switches that require less actuation force than the Professional's Cherry MX Blue switches and provide less click when pressed, but still offer a tactile bump. This makes it a better keyboard for users who move back and forth between typing and gaming applications than those who devote their lives to one or the other. The only significant new feature on the Prime 13 is the backlight, the first to appear on a non-gaming DOS keyboard model. It's only white, which may disappoint you if you want something more shocking or configurable, but it's not a bad inclusion. And because the Prime 13 doesn't require a driver, you can control the brightness of the backlight just by way of a key combination. The DOS keyboard folks tout other features on the Prime 13 that are of lesser importance, such as an extra long braided cable and full-end key rollover that should aid speedier typists or frantic gamers. But there are some unavoidable disappointments. There's only one port on that built-in USB 2.0 hub, compared with two USB 3.0 ports on the 4 Professional. There are no headphone or mic jacks, as you'll find on many keyboards, or for that matter the standalone hardware and media controls that are so handy on the Professional 4. You can access all the same functionality here, of course, by hitting the FN key and then the appropriate function key, but it adds a level of inconvenience. Unless you've seen the Vulcan 120 Aimo, I would wager you've never seen anything quite like the Vulcan 121 Aimo. That's because this keyboard uses ultra-thin keycaps on top of clear, elevated switches, unlike the recessed switches and encompassing keycaps in competing models. With the default RGB lighting activated, the Vulcan 121 Aimo has a whole rainbow sandwiched between two thin, black strips, which creates a striking effect. The lighting is bright and vibrant, the chassis is sleek and slim. The full-size keyboard isn't obnoxiously large, either, measuring 18.2 by 9.3 by 1.3 inches. Part of this is because it doesn't have an extra row of macro keys. It saves some space at the same time. Granted, if you're a heavy macro user, you can find better keyboards than the Vulcan 121 Aimo for your needs, but those who prefer straightforward, simple setups will find a lot to like here. The device also comes with a thin, plastic wrist rest, which still does a lot to alleviate wrist tension. This accessory is detachable, which can come in handy if desk space is at a premium, but I think every gaming keyboard in this price range should come with a wrist rest. I'm always surprised when one doesn't. There's also a set of semi-discrete media keys in the upper right corner. You don't get full play/pause, fast forward or rewind options, but you do get a mute button and a volume dial, which are the most important keys. The Freestyle Edge RGB improves a number of features on the first Freestyle Edge, but it is very much an upgrade of that original model. Like the original Freestyle, the split keyboard comprises two half keyboards, made of hard, matte gray plastic. The halves are connected by up to 20 inches of braided cable, giving you plenty of slack to configure the boards as you see fit. The keys are set in what's known in key geek lingo as a 75% layout, which has a similar number of keys as a 10-keyless board, but in a tighter configuration. Some of the keys found in a separate section on most standard keyboards, such as page up, page down, and print screen, have been pushed into the upper right-hand corner. Packing in the keys this way cuts down on the layout size, which is good because it can take up a lot of space, but it hikes up the learning curve for players who are new to ergo keyboards. If you are considering giving a split keyboard a try for the first time, you should know that transitioning to one takes time, patience, and practice. Even though the keys were in the same relative places, I found it takes extra time to get acquainted with the idea of using your two hands separately, and uniquely, on the two parts of the board. On top of that, Kinesis optional lift kit, which adds adjustable feet to the inner sides of the board, creates an inverted V10 angle that you obviously cannot experience on a standard keyboard. All that said, the reward, a less physically stressful typing experience, may be worth the effort, especially if you've noticed wrist, shoulder or back pain while using your PC or after long gaming sessions. Ergonomic split keyboards, broadly speaking, help alleviate stress and pressure on your forearms, shoulders, and back by allowing you to keep your arms naturally at your sides rather than pulling them together in front of you.